Welcome, everyone, to the Wake Up Call. We're so glad that you are here with us. We switched with Kirby and Cindy Wright, who are normally here on Mondays, and Jamie and Holly, which is us, we're here on Tuesdays. But we flip-flopped this week, so surprise, we're here this morning, and we're going to continue on with the book, 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself, Changing Your Life Forever by Stephen Chandler, and we are on chapter number 28 this morning. I'm going to go ahead and read that right now. Try interactive listening. The principle of using interactivity as a creativity builder is not restricted to computer games or chat rooms. Once we become fully conscious of this principle, we can find ways to become more interactive everywhere. We can even make conversations with our family and friends more interactive than they once were. We all have certain business associates or family members who, as they speak to us, we have a feeling that we already know what they're going to say. This lowers our own consciousness level and a form of mental laziness sets in. Whereas in the past, we might have just passively suffered through other people's monologues, we can now begin introducing more interactivity. In the past, we might have punctuated our sleepy listening with meaningless words and phrases such as exactly and, well, there you go, but we weren't truly listening. But that passive approach shortchanges us and the people we are listening to. When we are listened to, wrote Brenda Yount, it creates us, makes us unfold, and expand. Ideas actually begin to grow within us and come to life. The more thoughtful our questions are, the more interactive the conversations. Look for opportunities for interactivity to motivate yourself to higher levels of experience. Okay, well, that's an interesting chapter. I'm excited to hear what Mr. Yount has to say about this one.
All right. Well, so I was reading through it earlier, and it's a very short chapter, but it's a simple thing, but maybe not as simple as it sounds. I think in the thing that he said in there that really resonated with me was, more thoughtful questions, right? And so, before I get into all of that, I think number one, I was telling Holly before we jumped on, we all have kind of, we know that person that when you're in a conversation with them, and they'll just say, yeah, okay. And it's like, man, can I just drag anything out of you, right? So we all know those people. And whether they're listening or not, I really don't know. But, they're not very engaging, not very interactive, not very motivated when you talk to them. But also when he was talking about more thoughtful questions, I think to get better answers, you have to ask better questions. And so in order to ask better questions, you have to really, truly listen to the person that's talking, right? And he was talking about lazy listening, and sometimes people, that might be where people go into a canned thing, or it's kind of the same old thing. But, if conversation is two parts, right? So if you're on the other side, you can ask better questions, right? One of the things that I was thinking about, just as Holly was reading it, something that, and it just was that phrase, to ask more thoughtful questions. I've watched Holly do it so well. She's such a great listener, right? When she's talking to someone, she's like totally engaged, eye contact, listening, and then she asks genuine, thoughtful questions because she cares. And so that's something that really, I've watched her do, and she continues to do it. And it's because you take yourself out of, the conversation and more put the person first, because you're one to engage that conversation, right? The whole thing is to make more of an interactive listening. So it's interactive listening. That means you're an active listener, not a kind of just waiting for what I can say, or not kind of paying attention, or whatever that looks like. But I've watched her do it, and she does it so well. And she's done it ever since I've known her. And she completely pays attention. And then when you're engaged, then it allows you to ask, that better question or maybe that thoughtful question, because you're able to really listen and maybe see, and hear someone's heart, or maybe read between the lines that someone needs just a positive word, or just that, hey, many times I know I watch Holly just say, hey, are you okay? Right. And just, care about you. And people would just say, well, how do you know? Right. It's because she's totally engaged, paying attention, when she's listening. And so that's what I was thinking. There's so many things. I mean, it's kind of a, I guess, don't be that person that's a, yeah, no, okay kind of person, right? And it's easy to be that way, right? Sometimes people are just that way by naturally. But then also when you're in a conversation, right, if you want better answers, you have to ask better questions. And to ask better questions, you have to be a better listener and be engaged in the conversation, right? And as he was talking about, I was thinking like, well, that's the difference would be maybe checked out in the conversation, or really just being kind of worried about what your agenda is through that conversation, versus really just caring about that other person. And Holly does that so well. So that is my take. I don't know if you have anything to add or try to make it all make sense, because that's what you do usually when I ramble on and throw a bunch of, wet toilet paper on the wall. We figure out what sticks and makes sense.
I think that was great. It really gives me a lot to think of listening to you share that. And it's funny because I think I've always been a curious person, and I think I know that I am very interested in learning about other people and what makes them tick. And so, why are they the way they are? And I think that goes along with being able to recognize that other people are the way they are, whether they're passive listeners or they're great listeners, recognizing why are they that way. And I think that's where my questioning comes in, and I love to ask people questions, but also because I grew up with a hearing disability, and I have a hearing disability, and not being able to hear just kind of forces you like, could you repeat that, or I'm not sure what you said. And so from a very young age, I guess it was kind of almost a extra sense that I had, that because you can actually hear people without using your ears. And what I mean by that is if you can actually hear with your eyes, and you can pay attention to people. Again, growing up with a hearing disability forces you to pay attention to people's body language, how they carry themselves. If someone is, if someone walks into a room, a lot of my friends will say, how do you know this stuff about me? And if someone walks into a room, I can tell, is their head down or their shoulders slumped? What does their face look like? Is there a telltale sign that they're excited, or they, stressed, or it's just, I don't know if it's an energy. I don't know if it's just kind of a gift that God has given me to pay attention more to people because I can't hear. So that, again, forced me to look at that. But that's listening with your eyes. And I think that that's really important, that we, just as human beings, we pay attention to others, because everyone wants to feel like they matter. Everybody wants to feel like they're important. And I got to tell you, when I have been able to notice someone's having a bad day or something's not right with them, whether it's my family, whether it's Jamie, my children, my parents, my friends, my business partners, just whoever it is, when I'm able to say, hey, are you okay? And, most people give the canned answer, yes, I'm fine, or I'm just dealing with a lot. I will go the extra step, and I'll be like, I don't believe you. And lots of times people look at me and I'll say, no, really, are you really okay? It's okay if you're not. I just feel like there's something else going on with you. And I got to tell you, almost 100% of the time, people will just start to open up to me. And I know our son James, he'll say to me often, like, why do people tell you things? And it's interesting because I can be in line at a grocery store and just notice that the lady checking me out is having a bad day, and I'll say, hey, are you having a bad day? Everything's going to be all right. And just kind of watch them, first of all, realize, wow, somebody's paying attention to me. Somebody recognizes I'm not having a good day. Somebody's asking me about that. They'll just unload, and they'll just talk and talk and talk to me. And again, James, if he's with me, he'll be like, why are these strangers telling you these things? And then I'll always tell him because they just don't have anybody that listens to them. And so this chapter is not about me in any way, shape, or form, but it is just a reminder that we can listen with our eyes too. And I think the most important thing is when you are sensing someone in your life is not having a good day or something is wrong with them, just ask them about it. That goes along with the questions. Ask them. And if they give you a canned answer of, yes, I'm fine, it's okay, and you just kind of sense that it's not, go the extra mile and ask them a little bit more. Like, hey, you can do what hey, I don't believe you. I just come out and tell people that. But I've been kind of doing this question asking for a very long time, and it might be uncomfortable to you, but you got to put yourself in the situation of if something's wrong with you and you're having a bad day or, you're struggling with something, would you like someone to notice that and pay attention to you and say, hey, are you all right? What's going on with you? I'm here for you. I want to listen to you. And then, of course you want that. Of course you want, people to recognize that there's something wrong with you, right? That makes you feel like, okay, I'm important enough for someone else to notice me. And so I think just having those times in our lives where maybe we're afraid to ask the question for whatever reason, I just want to encourage you to go for it because you just never know how that will change someone's life, honestly. And that's kind of what I was thinking as Jamie was talking and, reading this chapter, looking for opportunities to just interact with someone. And it really, at the end of the day, can really help establish relationships, establish friendships, and then grow those relationships and friendships. When you really are caring about someone and someone knows you care about them, that is a really awesome foundation for a good lifelong friendship. And so I want to encourage everybody on here, try interactive listening and see where it gets you. Maybe you're on the end of when someone asks you a question, you just kind of give, the canned answer of I'm okay, or I'm, don't be afraid to open up to those that are really curious and want to help you. Sometimes we have our walls up, and I want to encourage you, to just bust those walls down. So you never know who God might place in your life that's really put there to intentionally help you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie for last comments, and then he can unmute the lines.
Just no last comments. You are awesome, and just appreciate everybody joining us on this Monday. So let me everybody. All right. Well, I think it's going to let us. So we love you all. We appreciate you all. Have a great week, and God bless.